This has been Binterik on Dawah. Assalamu alaikum. It just logically, it doesn't make any sense for people to call each other out. Calling out people, call out culture is just something that originates from the non-Muslims. You know, it just gets two people going back and forth. You know, it drives up, you know, the views. Some of these things are even staged, you know, they drive up the views of both the people. You know, you have a beef with somebody who has a smaller account. Suddenly they have, you know, millions of views and followers. And it's something that just is so antithetical to Islam and to Dawah. It's continually disturbing me to see it. And hence I am talking about it on my podcast. So this idea of calling out a person as opposed to behavior. So we're going to take a look at what happens. If you don't believe me that this is not part of Islam, that we don't call people out, and that Islam has nothing to do with calling out people, and you want to disregard, hadith of the Prophet ﷺ and his personal example and all that kind of stuff, and you just think that it's upon you as like a lay person, someone who's not a scholar, not somebody who is trying to benefit the whole ummah with calling out an individual who is doing an international great harm or disservice to the Muslim community, then, this is the situation. So since people don't believe me about this, since people want to argue with me about this or have more arguments, they might even call me out for call out culture, that we're going to just take a logical look at the results. All right. So the proof, what we used to say, is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. Whether or not you want to believe that call-out culture is not from Islam, we're just going to take a look at what happens. What is the result of calling out a person versus not calling out the individual, but calling out the behavior, which is what I'm trying to tell people is part of Islam. We're going to take a look at calling out people and calling out behavior. We're going to compare and contrast what happens there, and then you decide. You decide. We'll take a look at what happens on both sides. Aside from this debate, let's follow this argument that advising total strangers and calling them out is part of Dawah, okay? And unfortunately for some people, that's pretty much all they do when they have a Dawah channel or a social media account. They give Dawah and they pretty much spend their whole time just, attacking other people. Before we had, video duetting and calling out culture on video, we had websites that were full of just attacks against teachers, against individuals. The whole website, all it is just refutations of this person and that person, and no actual information, just defensive posturing, and this is wrong and they're wrong because of this and they're wrong because of that. Very backwards, weird way to learn about Islam. So we had websites. Now we have the video communication. So if you're going to duet a video, if you're going to mention or tag a person in particular, you're going to call them out, okay? And we're going to say that this is part of your Dawah and this is, whatever evidence that you want to bring, that it's okay for you to do that. You're going to call them out. What happens? They get insulted. They're going to get insulted. You called them out personally, you tagged them, and they're going to get insulted. So because they're insulted, they're either going to feel shame because they recognize the truth of what you're saying, and they feel shame, which is not helpful. That's not conducive to producing good content. Or they feel rebelliousness because they're angry because you insulted them. And so between that, they're going to continue to do and say the things. If they're feeling rebellious and they're insulted and they're just feeling defensive, they're going to continue to do and say the things that you told them that they shouldn't say or do. And if they feel shame and they recognize the truth of what you're saying and they feel shame, they may leave content altogether. They may not actually want to produce content anymore because of the shame that you brought them. They might second guess everything, that they're doing or saying, and they will want to just kind of hide, subhanAllah. So they might just hide and they might not even want to produce content any longer. They might block you, right? Sometimes when somebody wants to harass me, generally I'm not blocking people that are giving me advice, but if somebody's just giving me like wrong advice or insulting me, then I'll block them. So what happens? They're going to block your abuse and then you're silenced to them, right? So even after you get some good manners and you want to come back to it and you sincerely want to actually advise this person and you want to keep, you hope that they're guided and you want to help them, you have no access now because you have blocked them. They block you on like all the social medias and they see your name come up and they just turn away. And if you are active in giving Dawah, they will be blocked from everything, any beneficial stuff that you come up with as well. You've turned them away from whatever good you are offering. And we don't care if it's less than an audience. We're not talking about numbers. We're just saying you could still benefit this person. Whatever benefit you bring, they could follow you. They could be interested in what you're saying. But now they've blocked you. So you've come out with this accusation, this calling out, and now they've just blocked you, and nothing that you produce at this point is going to benefit them after this because they've decided to just block you. So what they're doing is the issue that you had, right? You may even say, I'm not attacking the individual. I'm not attacking the person. I don't have a problem with the person. What they're doing is the issue. You might actually even have the audacity to say that in your calling out of the individual. But the rest of the people that are viewing this, right, because this happens in public, the rest of the people that are viewing this, they're distracted by the argument and the tea that's being spilled as opposed to the behavioral issue. So what happens is that you get a lot of views, the other person gets a lot of views, people are going to take sides. And people are going to be arguing back and forth and insulting people back and forth. The objective here is just to create a lot of chaos and a lot of fuss. Sincerity has dropped the minute you start speaking about the other person, using their actual name or tagging them or using their handle. The sincerity is dropped the second you do that. You have to correct your intention, right? It's very, very hard to be sincere when you are on a platform and you are aware that having beef with someone else drives up viewers and stats. It's very difficult for you to keep humble there and to not call someone actually out. Is your intention to correct the wrong or show off? Show how much you know. Show how you can recite an ayah. Bring a hadith, weaponize the deen. Bring out your weapons of the things that you've studied. If you are incorrect, now, this is the kicker. This is the absolute kicker. If you are incorrect in your calling out of that person, you have now dug yourself into a huge hole out of which you will have a difficulty coming out. The increased attention to these videos and to this calling out that you've done of this person or this individual, and you are wrong, or you're making an assumption that wasn't true, how ridiculous do you look? I had a video recently where it was a clip from one of my podcasts, and I was talking about, an issue with the Muslim community, and some random person decided to assume that I was a man who was wearing hijab and insulting the Muslims on purpose. And apparently this person had already been, had discovered this individual. I don't know who that was. I don't know who they were talking about. But rather than look at my 3 years of video content and see my examples when I'm talking about my children, or, see my name, or even look me up on the internet outside of that, this person commented on other people's comments, and I believe they commented on a couple of videos saying, you're just a man and stop pretending to be a Muslim woman. And, I've seen this person before, and they're literally arguing with other people who know me and saying this person is a man and they're pretending to be a Muslim and they're saying bad things about Muslims. They're dressing up as a Muslim woman to insult Muslims and cause problems, for Muslims, on social media. And, I just ended up blocking a person. I admonished them and I told them, I said, I am indeed a woman. I've been producing social media content for some time as a Muslim woman. And, all you had to do was just look back into my other videos to see that I am indeed a Muslim woman. Either that, or I am super committed to imitating a Muslim woman, because any picture you see for years of me, or videos that I've done for years, I would have had to, pretend that. So subhanAllah, it's like when you're incorrect and you want to call out somebody, you've dug yourself into a big hole, and you will feel very bad, and other people will make you feel bad, and you will lose credibility big time. And if it's not just losing the followers, it's that you are producing content that benefits, probably, and you want other people to benefit from your content. But if they think that you are a liar, or if they think that you're an idiot because you're calling out people and being entirely wrong or making big, big, bad assumptions, then you have messed yourself up, and you have jeopardized whatever benefit you could bring to people after that point. So that's what happens when you just advise, you just call out, and you mention people's names, and you get right into that and call person out, tag them, duet their video, put their video up against yours, do a react video, whatever you want to do. That's what happens. This is reality. But what happens when you correct the behavior without calling out the individual, the person isn't insulted because you haven't mentioned them by name. They might not see or hear what you've said because you haven't tagged them. So there may not be any reason for them to actually see your video, refuting, behavior or their words or whatever they were doing. That the reminder will benefit other people. So again, first, it's all benefit, right? You're not insulting the person. And let's say they do find your video, even though you haven't tagged them. Maybe somebody else has tagged them in it, or maybe somebody else has sent this video to them. They might see the connection and, they see the video. They might very easily ponder what you've said and take it to heart and think about it and look into it and maybe change their behavior. You think about your own self. Think about yourself. If somebody's just coming up in your face and saying to other people around, look at what this person is doing. Don't you have any sense? Why don't you do this instead? Is that motivating you to change your behavior? Or is a small text message from a very close friend giving you a reminder? Is that something else that's going to change your heart and make you want to be a better Muslim? I know that I would rather have a general reminder myself. Other people are probably doing the thing that you're trying to get people to stop doing. So if there's an individual that's doing something wrong, there's probably other people that are doing that too. So if you call out the behavior and speak about the behavior and give general advice about the behavior, then other people who are not that individual, but other people who see that and witness that and see your reminder, they're going to be reminded as well. They'll be thinking, oh, you know what? I was going to upload a video doing that, but I'm not going to do that now. Or, oh, I'm not going to display this and that behavior now because I've seen the error of it before I even commit the content, or after they have the content. They might even take down their content after they've seen your wonderful reminder because it's so gentle and it's so general. Now, what if you're wrong? This is the thing, right? If you call out the behavior and you're wrong, okay? So it happens sometimes, somebody says, oh, that's not right. And, and then it actually, there's nothing wrong with it. And you've been, your sources are incorrect or your knowledge is incorrect. And you find out later on, then all you have to do is just take down that one video, right? No big deal. Hundreds and thousands and millions of people have not seen it. And even if they have, you can just remove it. And you can post a video saying, in an earlier video, I said this and this, and I should not have said that. That was incorrect. Here's the proper statement. But how can you clean that up when you have called out a person and it's become this huge thing where people are sharing your video and sending it to their friends and commenting on it and it's just everywhere. If you have just posted a normal reminder just yourself and you're incorrect about it, then it'll end with you. But if you've made this into this big drama and this big fiasco and chaos, then it's going to be a lot harder for you to clean up your mistake. The benefit of your reminder will purely reach the people with no beef and no tea. And it will be gentler and more according to the Sunnah. Whether you agree with me or not, we understand that the Prophet ﷺ was very gentle when he spoke to people. He was a teacher, he was a counselor, he was a therapist. He was somebody that people felt comfortable. Everybody felt like they were his favorite person. And this is something I keep saying because if we're dealing with people and they don't really feel like we care about them, they're not going to listen to us. They won't listen to us. I've been going through the 7 habits of highly effective people, and I've been giving it like Islamic examples for that. And one of the main things that Stephen Covey talked about in his book is effective listening. Before you get to the point where you are effectively listening and having a genuine relationship with another person, you have to stock up what's called an emotional bank account. If every interaction that you've had with this person, or more to the point, every video that you've uploaded has been inspirational, has been positive, has been, well-grounded, correct, with authentic information. When people interact with you about an issue that they're doing, you're calling out some behavior, they are more likely to take that from you because you've been building up that emotional bank account with them. They know that you care about the Muslims. They know that you care about them. And so your reminder then is going to be something that's so merciful and so kind and so beautiful. It'll be something that they appreciate and they take to heart. And that is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is more pleased with. So when the next time you see somebody who is doing something incorrect, weigh the benefits and the harms of calling out the behavior as opposed to calling out the person. This has been Binterik on Dawah. Assalamu alaikum.